I'm the owner and promoter of the Glendale Gun Show. As you consider the ordinance that is being put forth by this council, keep in mind that we live in a country with responsible gun ownership sewn into the fabric of our flag. The city of Glendale has a chance to stand up to the fear, manipulation, and hastily crafted laws that deep down we all know only harm law-abiding citizens. This city has a chance to vote against the ordinance that pushes the very fabrics of our Constitution. This city can show its citizens that even with a difference of opinion and personal bias, they support free enterprise, the right to liberty, and the importance of free speech. I implore you as civic leaders to take this opportunity and show your support for those cornerstone principles penned by our founding fathers. Our event has always been safe, well organized, and met all civic regulations. Brings in revenue for the city and is enjoyed by many of your own residents as well as thousands of law-abiding citizens. In closing, I have a quote here from Benjamin Franklin. A society that would give up a little liberty to gain a little security will deserve neither and lose both. Thank you.
One warning to everyone in the council chamber. If I identify you a second time, then I'm going to have the sergeant of arms. I'll point you out and you're going to be escorted. We have a long night tonight and we're not going to lose time with applauses, cheer.
My name is Reverend Lee Peterson, and I am the founder of South Central Los Angeles Tea Party movement, Tea Party organization. I also host a national quality radio talk show, and I am here to support the gun show. I have to say, when I read the purpose of this ban, so-called ban on gun shows, I thought the person or people who came up with this idea are either wicked at heart or have been smoking pot from the local pot store down the road there, because it didn't make any sense at all. South Central Los Angeles, Chicago, and other areas are under siege because the citizens of those areas are not allowed to carry weapons. Yesterday, I spoke with a family who moved into Compton, California, and they were attacked by gang members who are heavily armed, and they were not allowed to have guns or to protect themselves from their families. And I have to say that white Americans are hated right now, and to unarm yourself, and you have seen the attacks around the country these last 4 years, to unarm yourself is one of the worst things that you could do. Black thugs have been ordered not to riot and destroy their own communities, but go into their enemies' communities, which are white Americans across the country. We have members of the Tea Party movement from all of Southern California, including blacks, Hispanics, Armenians, and whites.
Patrick,
And to ban the gun show is an absolute
quiet.
for our country.
Sit down, sir.
We have a right to bear arms.
Sit down.
We as citizens
Officer, get him away from
You
the
don't
podium.
have a right to yell at me. We
Yeah,
pay
you do. I gave you 90 seconds. Get him away from the podium.
yourself, sir.
Get him away from the podium.
You disrespect you. We pay you.
Everybody has gotten 90 seconds.
Still, you don't
Everybody's gotten 90y seconds. You're no different.
Who do you think you are? I have a right to be here just as you do.
That's it, you're done.
He's the mayor of the city.
I'm running a
It doesn't
meeting.
matter. You still-
Everyone gets 90 seconds. No one's any better than anyone else.
So stop
You
yelling.
would know that. Patrick Ringme, followed by David Dewey, followed by Joel Ryan, and Paul Payne.
My name is Patrick Rooney, and I'm also a member of the South Central LA Tea Party. And I have to tell you, I'm ashamed of the city of Glendale today. You're standing up here, a lot of you, and I don't know who's voting for what. And I know the mayor here was a Vietnam veteran, and I think that's an honorable thing to be. But as a Vietnam veteran and also other members of the services that are here, one of the things that they must do is stand up for the rights of the citizens. We all have a right to keep and bear arms. And if anything, I see the rights being taken away from us. Where is the right to bear arms? It's not here anymore. We have violence going on in cities across America. You have cities like Chicago, who have some of the highest gun control rates in the country, and they're completely out of control with violence. You have other cities that are completely out of control that have the highest gun control rates. You have other countries. Australia, they took away the long guns in Australia. What do you think that did to crime? Crime went through the roof. People are afraid in their own homes. I would like to ask, and in other countries as well, there's not a single place that gun control has been tried that has ever worked to do anything except take rights away from citizens. And I really want to ask you in closing, what are you trying to accomplish here? Tell me one. I'd like to hear from Mr. Garcia here, because you must have the information. I'd like you to name me one city, one place anywhere where gun control has done anything to reduce crime. Just one. And I'll be happy to hear that. Name me one city, one state, or one country. It doesn't exist. And you know it. Thank you.
Mr. Quintero, Mr. Mayor, I would like to appeal to you as a sworn member of our military services to respect the gun rights of the citizens here in Glendale. And I'd like to point out that at least the first page of this regulation is riddled with false data regarding enhancing safety by disarming citizens. It does not in any way enhance safety to inhibit the right of good people to bear arms. Because if you create a gun-free zone, then the only people with guns in that zone are the criminals. And you will find in every case of mass shootings, two things are true. One, it's a gun-free zone, and the law has legislated that all of the victims be unarmed. And two, there are psychiatric drugs involved in the people who are making those assaults. The psychiatric drugs have been on the increase since the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. The more psychiatric drugs in our society, the more out-of-control people we have. When will this be investigated? When will we have psychiatric drug-free zones that will make our city safer? Thank you.
My name is Joelle Ryan. I'm a Glendale resident, homeowner, GUSD parent, Coalition for a Better Glendale member, and Glendale Gun Show attendee. Mayor, members of council, the Glendale Gun Show ordinance is absolutely a reaction to an emotionally charged issue, and we as a community should be proud of that. 20 first graders ages 6 and 7 were cut down by round after round of ammo in classrooms in Connecticut. And even though we here in Glendale were nearly 3,000 miles removed, our world was changed. Whether we were parents of first graders or merely former first graders ourselves. And in response, we did something remarkable, actually. Our city leaders requested an ordinance that was specific and reasonable, that addressed the long-standing inappropriateness of the gun show at the publicly owned Glendale Civic, that in its own measured way acknowledged that Sandy Hook was a game changer. So yes, it's true. We are here on this night because we have been moved to action by the mass murder of children. And what would it say about us and our community if we weren't? Thank you.
Simplify from the Disabled Marine Corps vet to you, Mr. Mayor. Once more, I'm here in opposition to this ill-conceived and unfair action by this body. I'm very disappointed, I don't mean to personalize this, but I'm very disappointed in Councilmember Friedman. We share a constituency of residents in Glendale. We hope you consider our thoughts. But when we directed NRA's attorney to contact you, you wouldn't even meet with us and hear our thoughts, facts, and objections. During the previous meeting, the city attorney was directed to bring forth an ordinance that would withstand legal scrutiny. I believe that was the quote. However, this ordinance falls woefully short. In fact, if this ordinance is passed, it could be the gift that keeps on giving. Just as an example, $380,000 check, San Francisco, to the National Rifle Association's attorney. Here's a copy of a $663,000 and change from the city of Chicago, and here's another one from Oak Park here for over $600,000. Based upon the upcoming election, this body, if this body proceeds with this, the next council is going to have to deal with the outcomes and ramifications, and it's going to be ironic that if Councilmember Mnuchin does succeed in becoming treasurer, that his signature might actually have to be on the check that's issued to the National Rifle Association and our attorneys.
There's not much I can say. I don't understand why government entities seem to keep on embracing the fantasy that somehow one more law will cause criminals to wake up, obey, and quit harming people. This law will only harm law-abiding citizens. Thank you.
Basically, my experiences led me to believe that you probably won't change your minds, whatever you decided tonight, but at least let me ask this question and put this in the record. It's interesting to note that you would trust me to turn in my gun in a buyback program, not knowing whether I committed a crime with that particular gun. Now, I live in Los Angeles. The mayor said that, and the sheriff said you would not be held accountable for any crimes that you've committed with a gun that you turn in. I find that very interesting. I wonder if that's considered public safety.
I know to be fact, my 16-plus years on council, no one has ever called or written or spoke to me about the gun show at the Civic. In my lifetime here, over 73 years, no one has ever spoke to me about the gun show. There are no shootings in Glendale that can be traced back to the show. There's no weapons or sold or removed from the gun show on the day. Background checks are required by state law. All guns have to be picked up after a 10-day waiting period at a licensed gun store. There's been no negative impacts on any of our city schools. I raised my kids here. They're in their late 30s, 40s now. My grandchildren and my daughter are growing up here. So I'm looking to see what reason would I have to change the rules, the law, and say it can't be a Civic. There are none. Nothing's happened. So since there's no factual reason to prove it, I won't. California has the strictest gun control measures in the United States of America. Have to be licensed dealers. Guns have to be registered with law enforcement. Background checks are done on all gun sales. There's a ban on assault weapons. No guns can be carried in the open. 10-clip magazines are the most. I have a chart. Every state in the union, we're the most heavily regulated state. I believe that society has to eventually address some issues. Mental health awareness, people that have a problem that are not identified, they're slipped by, they let go, gotta catch these people. That's gonna take law. A breakdown of the family unit. Children are young, where are the parents? There's a lot of broken homes. Kids get out on the street, leading to gangs. I don't know how you fix that. Drugs, more prevalent than ever. We already know what drugs can do.
There's no gun show loophole in this county or in this city. I think this is wholly an emotional reaction to the tragedy that happened in Newtown. It is a tragedy, and we are acting emotionally. Because if we weren't acting emotionally, we'd look at this in a larger sense. We'd look at other things, such as mental health issues. We look at things such as the violence that our children are exposed to in movies, in video games. Has anyone on the dais or has any one of the speakers that support this ban mentioned that? No. The findings that were given discuss the tragedies that have happened thousands of miles away, sometimes hundreds of miles away, and seem to imply that stopping our gun show is going to have an effect on that. Well, it won't. It won't. This is a safe show. The Second Amendment gives us the right to bear arms. We've seen instances where we need our arms. The LA riot. There are times when we need our guns to protect our families and to protect ourselves. And sometimes we may have to be on public property when we do that. To think that that will never happen is a fallacy, and we're deluding ourselves. It happened in Los Angeles, folks, not that long ago.
You as gun owners might disagree with the people who are against having the gun show, but they have every right to their feelings, and they are as much property owners of that gun show as anybody else, or as that civic center as anybody else. And they have just as much right to have an opinion about what goes on there. And I don't believe that it's a responsibility of the city to host that gun show, given how unpopular it is with many of our residents. I also believe that the portion of this ordinance that would ban the possession of guns on public property, and by the way, streets are exempted, so you can drive around with guns in your car, but I think that it will make for a safer community.
The idea that by taking this position, we are in fact precluding people from purchasing firearms and violating their constitutional rights. I completely disagree with that. To the issue whether it's an emotional issue to react this way, I think all you have to do is listen to some of the presentations tonight to decide who is having an emotional reaction. I don't think we're disarming citizens. I don't think blacks have been ordered to shoot whites, and some of the other comments that we heard tonight. So I support the ordinance, and hopefully it'll pass.
Council members Friedman,
Yes.
Menuchyan,
Yes.
Najarian,
No.
Weaver,
No.
Mayor Quintero.
Yes.
Thanks for coming.
That's it, okay?